Welcome to the Portland Culinary Podcast and Portland Culinary Radio. I'm Steven Shomler, your host, here in Bozeman, Montana, doing one of my Bozeman-centric episodes. I absolutely love it here in Bozeman. If you want to check out my other Bozeman content, you can go to adventuresinbozeman.com for culinary podcasts, beer podcasts, and travel articles. But today, there is this amazing group of restaurants here in Bozeman. You know, the first time I visited, that's the best place to eat breakfast in town. And I drive by, that place looks really cool. I want to eat breakfast there. And now, right here, the founder of all this incredible culinary magic, Serena Rundberg. Hello, I'm so excited to be here and get to tell your story.
Thanks, Steven.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Okay, so there's Nova Cafe. That was the first. There's Feed Cafe.
Correct.
There's Lot G Cafe. And then there's Daily Coffee, but it's not Daily Coffee Cafe.
No, it's not.
You broke the mold with that one.
I broke the mold with that one.
And, I could just whip them out 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's not how they unfolded. I mean, there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears between A, B, C, and D to get there.
14 years.
Okay. So stories begin with all my podcasts. Where were you born?
I was born in Berkeley, California.
That's fantastic. My sweetheart went to school there.
Wonderful.
Okay. And where'd you go to high school?
Los Gatos High, a little town.
Okay.
California.
In California, yep. And what's the mascot there?
The Wildcats.
The Wildcats. I like that. Okay. And then what year did you move to Bozeman?
I moved to Bozeman in 2005.
And what brought you to Bozeman?
Well, I came out here to visit in April of 2005, mid-April. It snowed a foot. It was the most beautiful and magnificent place I had been to. I went rock climbing for the first time, took some hikes, and fell in love with Bozeman and the people here.
Okay, so Los Gatos, did I get that right? That's kind of in Northern California?
Yes.
Okay, and then given where I grew up, that's kind of evil because I grew up in Southern California.
Ooh, Dodger fan?
Of course, Kurt Gibson, the home run, the World Series. And when I've learned everywhere I've lived, there's the people we hate. So Southern California, we hate Northern California. When I lived in Minnesota, we didn't like Wisconsin, obviously, or Iowa. One day I said, well, don't we hate North South Dakota? No, we just feel bad for them. But here's what I know is interesting about people that grew up in many parts of California, not all, but a lot of them. I never saw snowfall, really. So the first time I lived in Minnesota and the snow fell, it was so incredible. And I even shoveled the driveway, so excited. Now, the second time I thought, I need to get a snow machine. This is not cool. But you said it snowed a foot, and I bet that was just so amazing to you.
It was amazing. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
And I, first 20 years of my life, no snow. And I've been since then, but anytime I've been around snow, even when I've lived in a place where it snows a lot, I still love it. It's still magical because I didn't grow up with it.
Yep.
Is that the case for you?
Exactly.
Yeah, just
closest
wow.
place was Tahoe.
Yeah. And it's just beautiful when snow is falling, and then at night, it's so quiet and it's so bright on a moonlit, snowy night. Oh, and I think people that grew up with it don't have that same that maybe you and I do. Okay, that's a tangent, but okay. So you just loved it. You loved it. You loved everything about it, and you said, "This is the place that I want to move to."
This is the place I want to move to. But what am I gonna do?
And at that point, we'll get into it. But you had decided what were you doing professionally before you moved here?
I was selling software sales in Silicon Valley from my office in Santa Cruz. Yeah.
Okay. And you had decided, I'm done. I'm going to go, do something in the food world, some kind of food business. You didn't know what. And then about that same time you reached that conclusion, you visited Bozeman. So you sold everything?
Well, I visited in April. I closed on a condo and a business by June 15th and was here by June 30th.
And you sold your house down there?
Yeah, sold my everything, hawked everything to move to Bozeman.
And put the money in here.
And put the money in the market here in Bozeman, in the business mostly.
I love it that you just put all your chips in to making a business work here in Bozeman.
Yes, I might have been crazy, but it seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
Okay, and what restaurant did you buy?
We bought a downtown establishment called O'Brien's. It had been O'Brien's for about 25 years at that time.
And did people love it then?
Yeah, they had a decent following then.
Oh my gosh, so you bought their beloved restaurant.
Yes.
You wicked person.
I know.
It's always a tough thing to do.
Evil Californian.
Oh, that's always a tough thing to do, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I'm in Oregon now. We hate those people that come from California.
I know.
I don't tell them. I came from Minnesota. I don't tell them I started out in California 20 years of my life. Okay. So you... what month did you open it? What month was it yours as O'Brien's?
We took it over July 1st.
And then when did you change it over to Nova Cafe?
And then we did worked a whole summer as O'Brien's and then switched it over to Nova Cafe in October. Okay. Closed for 2 weeks, did a design on a dime. and reopened as Nova Cafe.
Okay, and why Nova Cafe? Why that name? Where'd that come from?
Well, we did a lot of road trips between California and Bozeman during those couple of months. And at the time, I owned a 64 Chevy Nova that I was restoring. And I liked the name Nova, but I didn't want a car. I didn't want a 50s diner or anything like that. So I called my stepdad, Jim, who's a language guy, and said, Jim, what does Nova mean exactly? And he very properly said, in Latin, Serena, it simply means new. And I went, aha, because that's what we wanted to be, was the new cafe in town.
And the way where my head goes, given my journey, it wasn't just the new cafe in town. It was emblematic of your entire new life.
New life,
yeah.
Exactly.
New career, new passions, new fulfillment, etc.
Exactly.
New place.
New place. New start.
New start. Oh, man, I love it. That's
Redo.
fantastic. Okay, so October 2005, it's now Nova Cafe.
Yes.
And I suspect that people weren't necessarily 100% fired up because you got rid of their fancy restaurant that they loved.
Not completely bought in October.
Yeah, so October, November, December, you had to kind of woo them in. So what did you do during that time frame to woo them over to, hey, it's still cool? And
honestly, I think a smile and a good cup of coffee goes a long way. And our mission was really to create an experience for people for breakfast and lunch that was different, that was ultra friendly, that was family like eating at your family's house.
But you can't just write those words on
a business plan.
Yeah, you can't just write those words on a piece of paper and put them up.
No, we had to live it. We had to live that ideal of being of service in the world and being of service in our community, and that's what we sought to do.
Okay, here's what I was going. Here's the thought that was emerging in the back of my mind. Families that are not doing so well together. They just don't fit well. Mom and dad don't get along. The kids don't get along. And you've been to Disneyland, right?
I have.
Oh, happiest place on earth. One of the few bright spots in my dark childhood. So you've seen those families where, they're waiting in line. They're sitting on the rails for Matterhorn and they're getting along. They're happy. They're maybe not thrilled to be waiting in line, but they're happy. And then there's families that are fighting and arguing and miserable, right? The family that's fighting and arguing misery, they can't just go home and put up on the wall, we are now a loving family.
Right.
And so it's just a cheerful, friendly cup of coffee. I think it becomes, I think that it comes from within, stuff like that. Leadership stuff runs downhill. It's not just serving a good cup of coffee. I think it's pretty dang fulfilling for you to give that cup of coffee.
Yeah, it is. I find a lot of service in just pouring a good cup of coffee, bringing somebody a hot, delicious meal. It being special and out of the box is wonderful too, but just bringing somebody food to nourish their body and their spirit is priceless, right?
And part of it is for you, tell me if I'm correct, is that you were not fulfilled, right, wrong, or indifferent. In some people, that's okay, but your sales, your previous job was not fulfilling.
Not fulfilling at all.
And you want to do something in food, and every time you bring someone a cup of coffee, you're living the dream, literally. And someone else may say, I would never want to do that. How can bring some coffee? I wouldn't want to do that. But I get it because I know what it's like to live the dream. And it's that joy, I think, is effervescent. And that's why putting it down and training and teaching it works, because they see it lived out in you.
I love effervescence. But it's so true.
It is true.
So true.
Yeah, I teach it. It leaks. I even own it. Itleaksout.com. Whatever it is, it leaks out. And you love that. You're living the dream. You're getting to fulfill. You're getting to serve. You're making a difference in your way. Mm-hmm. I think that's beautiful. I think that's why it worked.
Yeah, I do too. And we started that in the four walls.
Yeah.
And then expanded that into the community, into the local produce community, into the local food system, into our local nonprofit systems. We just really got involved in the community here in Bozeman.
And you have serve all of your restaurants, work with a lot of local purveyors,
correct,
local ingredients, local suppliers, etc.
Yes.
All the way across the board.
All the way across the board.
Okay. So when did Feed come along?
So in 2014, I had another idea for a concept that was going to be a little bit more fast casual, with a good general food store in it. And we actually were in talks with a hotel being developed downtown here, and it just didn't quite fit what they were looking for, and they weren't quite matching what we were. It didn't work out, and so there was another.
But had you this enterprise that had you named it yet?
I had named it Feed Cafe and Larder for the general foods store of it, but
so Feed Cafe now had a name,
had a business plan,
but no home,
and I worked a lot on that business plan and wanted to see it through and got a little obsessed about it. So this barn became available in mid 2014.
And that's on Main Street.
It's right on Main Street.
If you leave downtown Bozeman, you drive down Main Street, you go about halfway to Four Corners and roughly.
Right before 19th Avenue there.
And it's there on the left.
Yep. It's an old historic barn, turn of the century barn, homestead actually of the Kirk family. And I really, like, that old barn just needed some life blown into it, and I could see the potential, and met with the building owner, and we kind of hashed out a deal in 2005, May of 2005. We just celebrated, actually, the other day, Feed's 4th anniversary.
Wow. Okay, but when you drove by, did you think, I'm going to put Feed Cafe, Feed Barn, Feed Cafe in a barn?
Yeah, I mean, I did. After I saw it, once it all came together, it was like, oh, maybe this is actually where it was meant to be, the concept.
That's fantastic. I love it. Okay, and then Lot G.
Yes.
When did that come to be? Lot G Cafe.
Lot G Cafe, another cafe. So I had an idea about doing some gluten-free options.
Why gluten-free?
Well, my sister-in-law that I moved here to be with in 2005 was celiac, and actually my wife is celiac as well. And it is really hard for people to find a safe place to eat when they are celiac. There's not a lot of options.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's menu items that people can prepare for you, but they're always in some type of contaminated environment for people that are gluten-free or intolerant or celiac. And we wanted to create something that was unique. Almost certifiably gluten-free.
I learned a lot about that working on my second book. We have an incredible brewery in Portland, Groundbreaker, and they're a certified gluten-free facility. And then we, for a while, had a couple different food carts that were gluten-free only because depending on your level of celiac, if you eat gluten, it kills you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a serious thing. And so, to know gluten at all is made in the place, that really makes it a safe place.
Yeah, we've had people come in and cry that they can get certain menu items gluten-free. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's just beautiful. But it's just amazing food that happens to be gluten-free.
Yes, good food for everyone. Anyone can eat here, and they're going to love it.
At least that's how I experience it, because it doesn't say out front, gluten-free.
No, we don't. We don't advertise that much.
Is that where the G those comes from? Lot G?
Actually, no. We had originally named this place GF Yourself.
Oh my goodness!
Like hashtag GF Yourself, and we got advised that might not be the best move. So we had all these names picked out, and I was looking through my lease, and it gives the plot data on your lease, like Lot G, unit da-da-da. And I was like, we're in Lot G. We are Lot G. So let's be Lot G Cafe.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it fits with your theme so far.
So far, so good.
And that leads us to June 2018. You begin the fourth business, Daily Coffee.
Yeah, a really good girlfriend of mine, Noelle, we had coffee together a couple years ago, and she said, "What do you think about buying my coffee shops?" And I was like, "Whoa, that's a whole nother coffee and bakery, and it's a different deal, but it's still a cafe." And she had a great business model, been open 25 years. Locals loved her, loved Daily, and so that deal went through.
But why did she want to sell?
Well, she was interested in roasting her own, getting deeper into the roots of the coffee business.
She wanted to be a full-time coffee roaster.
Coffee roaster. Yes.
So you're buying her restaurants.
We are buying her cafe.
You gave her the ability to take the step into her preferred life.
Exactly. And now she is roasting coffee specifically for the Daily.
I love it. And there's two locations.
There's
one just kind of over here.
Right over here in the Cannery District. Then we have one up on College Street, right by the university. That's the original is up by College Street.
And they both have really good coffee roasted by
Studio Coffee
Roasters, and then amazing pastries.
We make all of our pastries in-house. And we do cater to a lot of allergies and sensitivities. So one thing that the Daily is really good at is having baked goods for all.
I love it. Okay. So this is really cool. There's like 5 locations, 4 businesses, all really good food stuff. I suspect that you, like me, love food.
I love food.
So tell me about an early food memory you have.
Sure. Well, it's not my memory, actually. It's my father's. And my parents were entrepreneurs. They owned sandal shops in the Bay Area in the 70s. And
oh, that's handy.
That's handy. I know. And hippie shops. And I guess according to my dad, the second day I was on this planet, he took me out for breakfast, and he says the whiff of bacon, like I perked up to the whiff of bacon, and here I am, however many years later, slinging bacon for a living.
And I love me some bacon.
I love me some bacon too.
Okay. Do you like to cook?
I love to cook.
Are you a good cook?
I think I'm a pretty decent cook.
I think you are too. So what about cooking? What do you like about cooking?
Honestly, I don't cook in the restaurants anymore. I used to in the beginning, but I really enjoy cooking at home. I love cooking for my family. It's super fulfilling to have my little girl eat just about anything, and I make her all kinds of interesting foods, and but it just fulfills me. Again, it's something I'm passionate about. Good food. Putting good energy into good food, and it's a real stress reliever for me,
So
too.
at times it's therapeutic?
Oh, it's so therapeutic. Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a way to kind of, is it also a creative outlet?
Yes, it is that too. I never really follow a recipe. I always do something a little bit different. But.
Yeah, my wife's working on, she's got a project she's working on, recipes.suggestion.com, a liberating way to look at life and recipes, because she never follows those recipes.
I love that. Is she a good cook?
She's an amazing cook,
Yes.
and she loves to do it. She's fulfilled by it. It just kind of helps her unwind for the day. Do you know Steve Alp from Dry Hills Distillery?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I love him. He's so great. And he at 6 months old, moved from Korea to Bozeman, and been here his whole life. And he, after school, went and worked in New York. And he said ramping up to work on New York was easy. But coming back to Bozeman, to be with family, and then he took on a really amazing job that's a beautiful fit for him. He said ramping down is really hard. He said we can ramp up, we don't ramp down. And my sweetheart, she just we have tranquil Thursdays, so we just set aside Thursday evenings. Sometimes it's Wednesdays, but it tends to be Thursdays, and whatever in our week works. And I used to do a lot of cooking, for my kids and stuff. But she loves to cook, and I'm quite happy with the role I have. My job is to make the martinis and put on Sinatra. So I have a really good gin martini with 3 olives, and I make her a vodka martini and feel sad for her she doesn't like gin. And I stare at her darling while she cooks, and she just loves, you can just see the joy she gets in the creative outlet, and she unwinds and she relaxes. And I know for some people the cooking's not that experience, but if you love food and cooking like that, I
love it.
I think all of that kind of led to your professional journey.
It absolutely did.
Okay, so tell me about that. What prompted that? So how long did you do software sales roughly?
About 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
Okay. So what happened? What catalyzed you to realize this is not good. I need to do something else, and I'm going to do food.
I had been realizing for a while that being inside and selling software was not good for me emotionally and physically. It was a lot of
probably spiritually.
And spiritually, definitely.
Okay, so how long had you sold software roughly before moving up here?
About 12 years.
Okay, so for about 12 years you're doing something that really isn't ringing your bell.
Didn't float my boat, no.
Tell me that process of coming to that awareness, and what led to that, to where I'm going to quit my job and move to Bozeman? What led to that awareness of that shift?
Well, honestly, I started seeing, I seeked out some help. I sought out some help, and a friend of mine, Jerry, was a life coach at the time, and I started getting some coaching done with him, and he took me through all of this fascinating laundry list of questions and tests and online stuff, and at the end of the day, I realized I really wanted to work with my hands, and I wanted to work with food, but I didn't know what that was going to look like.
And you realized that you really weren't fulfilled at what you were doing.
Yes, and I wasn't fulfilled at all at what I was doing. I couldn't find the human connection there.
Yep. Okay, so we're still back in our storytelling time machine. We're still back in 2005. I think it must have been scary I'm going to sell everything and basically do not just a startup, which often fail, but a culinary startup, which really fail.
Yeah, luckily I didn't know that at the time. I had no idea that 90% of restaurants fail, which is a really good thing, because I probably wouldn't have done it, honestly, if I knew all that I was getting into.
But you just went for it.
I just went for it. Right. I couldn't not.
Yeah, I just, I've met people who hit those crossroads like you did, but then don't go for it. And the thing is, those dreams don't die. Maybe they quit talking about them, but they smolder in your heart and cause ongoing ache. That's just such a tough thing. And they don't know that I can smell it, but I can smell it. I can smell that, that smolder in there. It's like, oh, come on, it's not too late. And you may not get there, but the process of going for it may lead you you may set out from A to B, maybe you never get to B, but you end up at point C, which maybe is even a better place than you expected.
Always.
Okay, so if someone's listening to this podcast and they've got that struggle and they're thinking, I'm not fulfilled in my current career and I'm thinking I'm making a leap and doing something crazy and it doesn't matter if it's food or not, what advice would you have for them?
Well, definitely do your due diligence.
Yep.
Go for it. Like, get off the couch, get out of the car, get off the transit and go live your dream.
Pursue
not
it.
That simple, but pursue it.
Well, it is that simple. The going for it is that simple.
The going for it is that simple.
And don't try to figure it out. So many people try to figure it out, but you can't have a perfect game plan.
I had no idea if I was going to even enjoy living in Bozeman, really. Like the winters, I had no idea what I was getting into.
But you went for it.
But I went for it.
And even if it hadn't worked out, you would have learned tremendous stuff about yourself
Tons of stuff.
through that
and
journey.
That's always what life is really about, right? Just learning more about yourself during the journey.
All right. So if you're listening to this podcast, I have been to these places. I want to hornswoggle you to come to Bozeman first and foremost, and then I want you to go to these various places. So tell us about Nova Cafe. Someone goes there. What kind of food will they find there?
Nova Cafe is kind of your traditional breakfast food with a twist. We do serve breakfast and lunch 7 to 2 every day. You can find the best eggs Benedict in town there.
Oh, that's a bold claim. I like that.
Yeah.
I love me.
I am a stickler for my hollandaise, and our hollandaise matches.
All right, you ever come back to Portland to visit, I'll take you to Egg Carton Food Carton. That's the best hollandaise sauce in Portland, and I will stand by that.
Fantastic.
She is phenomenal. I used to tell her that. I used to tell her she was a chef. I ended up being their first food cart customer ever by a fluke, and they had recognized me and were horrified, and she was so nervous she burned the potatoes.
What?
Oh yeah, but so I didn't put that in my book. Now she tells the people now the story now, and I'm not a chef, and she's grown so much. She's been on Chopped and done well, and her hollandaise sauce is amazing. I love Sarah and her husband Tim. He's an incredible support and cheerleader. So yeah, I will take you to the best hollandaise sauce in Portland.
Fantastic. That sounds great.
I love it.
But at Nova, you'll also find not your traditional breakfast fare, or a twist on something traditional. So we have a specials board that we run where we really like to feature as many local producers and ranchers as possible. And you might find something on that menu like a Yellowstone grass-fed beef brisket hash, for example, or a stuffed French toast special. Or we serve a different type of cottage cheese pancakes just about every day of the week. So there are lots of options there that are just standard and good. Everyone will enjoy them, but they have a little flair too.
Yeah, I had the migas.
The migas.
It was so good. It was so good. Oh, I loved it. Okay, and then Feed Cafe.
So yeah, Feed Cafe is more or less artisan comfort food. Again, breakfast and lunch all day. We do all of our in-house baking there. So
right there on site.
Right there on site. All of our breads are made in-house. And basically the menu has really been built upon that bread menu. So we have a list of breakfast sandwiches, for example. We have an outrageous Monte Cristo that's made on our homemade challah bread with a little sriracha strawberry jam on it.
Okay, now you know where they make the best Monte Cristo?
Okay, where?
In the Blue Bayou restaurant inside Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland, and they only serve it at lunch.
That's amazing that you know that.
Hey, I was a kid. I used to go to the Blue. I took Christine Hines there in high school. Hoping, and it was incredible. That's where I learned to love a Monte Cristo.
Nice, yeah. It's a good one. It's different than your average, but it's a good one.
See, I love all kinds. I love the contemporary, traditional, wild takes on Monte Cristos. They're just a fun sandwich.
Yes.
I didn't realize.
You might have to check that out.
I might have to check that because as soon as I saw pastrami hash, I don't even mean that's what I want. That one, because I'd had a busy night the night before, and I was literally from there leaving to go out to Dry Hills Distilling, and I had to be there at 9:00, and I was going to be required professionally to drink gin and whiskey and vodka at 9 a.m. And so I needed to lay a good base, and I figured this pastrami hash would really get the job done.
Oh yeah.
And it was phenomenal.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, it was so good. I just want to like box it up and take it to UPS and ship it off for my sweetheart to taste. Like, you got to try this. This is so good. Okay, fantastic. And it just has its own unique feel. That's what I like. You know, Nova Cafe and Feed Cafe have their own. They both feel comfortable. They both feel inviting and welcoming, but they have their own different feel.
They definitely do.
And I just love Feed Cafe. Just kind of enchanting. You know, I just loved it.
It's an old historic barn.
Yes, because it's got all that good energy.
Yes, tons of old energy in it.
More than 100 years of good energy.
More than 100 years.
Okay, and then Lot G.
Lot G Cafe. Well, Lot G we kind of coined the phrase good food for all here. We are a completely gluten-free establishment. We don't try to replace any glutinous products. So you won't find bread on our menu, for example. It's just all naturally gluten-free and delicious food.
Good. I like it. Now, and I had the Abel Skeevers.
Yes.
So good.
Wonderful.
Oh my goodness. And who cares if it's gluten-free or not? It's really good.
Exactly. And that's the whole point. We wanted to make food that tastes good no matter if you're with your wife and she's celiac and she's going to cry to have the fish and chips, for example.
Yeah, because you have amazing gluten-free fish and chips.
Amazing gluten-free fish and chips.
Oh, that. Okay, sign me up. I love me some good fish and chips. Okay, what's going on over at Daily Coffee?
Well, Daily, other than the amazing espresso bar and alternative drink menu that we have, it's a baking machine over there. We have the best scone in town. We've been it's the same recipe for 25 years that Noelle had that she gave to me.
And you kept it going.
And we've kept it going. We won't that's a very sensitive subject, that scone recipe. We don't change it. You
want to honor that tradition.
Honor that tradition.
And people love those scones.
Absolutely. People love those scones. But we do a display of tiny cakes, tiny pies. There's always a cheesecake or a pie or a panna cotta you can find there, as well as the traditional breakfast bakery things.
Like muffins? Coffee cake?
Coffee cake.
I love me a good coffee cake.
Good coffee cake.
Oh, good. I'm going to have to go do that.
Thank you.
And what the heck is a bee sting bun?
The bee sting bun is a croissant dough wrapped around a ball of cream cheese, and then it's baked in caramel and toasted almonds, and it is delicious. One of our signature.
Can you? I can't even think. Can you repeat that? What the bee sting bun is?
Bee sting bun is going to be croissant dough wrapped around a ball of cream cheese, baked in caramel sauce and toasted almonds.
Okay, that's what I think. What time do they open on Saturdays?
6:30.
Perfect, because I have to be somewhere middle of nowhere for Crooked Hop Yards.
They will have them
like at 8:30, and I will go. That's what I'm having for breakfast. That is I am so excited
They're so
for this.
Delicious.
And then, so that's the stuff when we stop by for breakfast. Those are the things we get.
Yep.
But then if I stop by after,
we also have breakfast burritos. We do quiche. We do breakfast sandwiches, hot breakfast sandwiches.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but those are all breakfast things. And come about 10 o'clock, then I can get some other amazing things.
Yes.
Because, I like coffee and a treat.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So,
I hit Daily at like 3 o'clock for that afternoon coffee pastry treat. But we also serve lunch. We have a selection of paninis and homemade soups that we sell.
Oh, nice. Day. Okay, but back to, I want the pastries. I love me a good pastry.
Oh, back to the pastries,
yeah,
yes.
So the non-dessert pastries in my head, not that you can't have brownies for breakfast. That's okay in my world. But you have espresso fudge brownies.
Oh, yes.
And cream cheese brownies.
Yes, we do lots of bars. We have a Scotch crispy bar that's amazing. Lemon bars.
Wow. Okay. If you're listening to this, I hope you understand that Daily Coffee, you come to Bozeman, it's got to be part of one of your stops. And then tiny cakes, I'm going to have to get me one of those. Those sound amazing. And you do
beautiful.
You do individual cheesecake.
Yes.
Oh, cheesecake. So I could have like 2 of them.
You could have 2. You could have a cheesecake and a tiny pie or a tiny cake.
Oh, you do tiny pies too?
Yes.
Oh, maybe I could have with a tiny trio.
Little tiny trio, a flight.
Do you sell those at the flight?
No, but we should.
Yeah,
really
you
good
can
idea.
name it after me. Yeah, the Steven Trio, the tiny
Shomler
cake.
flight.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. But yeah, because some people, because they're trying to honor, their craft beer background. They can't flight of beer and a flight of pastries.
People are doing bacon flights these days.
Are they really? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so does Bozeman feel like home? You've been here a lot of years now. Does it feel like home?
It is home.
You love it here.
I love it here.
Okay, what about Bozeman works for you?
From the moment I flew in here and saw the mountains call me. The nature here is just unreal.
So when you go outdoors, what are some things you do?
Well, I like to take long walks in the woods.
Kind of meander.
And I like to hike as well.
And
I love to go in the water. So we try to get up to Flathead Lake every year or go up to Highlight, take a quick dip.
Nice. And then I wanted to highlight, you said, take hikes and then meander in the woods. And I love that both, but those are two different experiences.
Very.
And meet two different needs.
Yes.
And how great to have a lot of people don't have wilderness that they can go out into.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I have a 4-year-old, so she's usually along when we're doing the meandering in the woods.
She probably loves it.
Yeah. Oh, she loves it.
Okay. And then you probably like the scenery.
It is gorgeous, but the people here are what I keep coming back to. The community of Bozeman is so sweet and so wonderful and so giving and thoughtful and connected. We're really connected.
Yeah, because it's tough. Like you said, you have to. I've heard someone say you have to be tough to live in Montana.
Well, just the weather alone.
And those people, if you're tough enough to be here, we respect you. Respect is right there, and then we're all pulling for each other because we all want to get through the winter.
Yeah, exactly. And having been here now 15 winters. I'm, not local, but I've been here a long time.
Longer than most of the people that just moved here. Okay, so are you fulfilled professionally?
I am. I've never been more fulfilled, not just professionally, but in my life.
Professionally and personally.
Yes, I am. This work that I do here is so fulfilling. It's gone way beyond just the food too. It's the whole. I love the numbers. I love the busyness. I love the hustle.
You like being a businesswoman.
I love being a business owner of restaurants, cafes. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, so for you did two things I think that were incredible that a lot of people never have the courage to do. You found a place that you fell in love with, that you wanted to live, and you moved there. And you discovered your job was not fulfilling. And so you said, to heck with it. I am going to leave that career and jump in with both feet into a whole new world with no background.
No background, no family out here, really. One sister-in-law, that was it.
And pursue that. So that I think that kind of thing gets rewarded. Mm-hmm. I mean, you went for it, and that makes perfect sense to me that you would have fulfillment professionally and personally. I mean, I tell people, go live the life you imagined.
Yes.
And you are now.
I had no idea.
Well, hats off to you. Serena, it's been such a delight to have you on the...
Back at you, Stephen.
It's been such a delight to have you on the podcast. All the food I've had at your places I love. I just want to go there like 3 times a day because every time I don't look at the menu too much because I see like 9 things I want to eat. And I'm like, well, if I order 3 dishes, I could justify it because I could take pictures, for articles. And that's not really good for my budget, but then I might eat 2 of them, and that's not good for my waistline. But everything just looks so amazing. Things I've had have been tremendous. And then the underlying stuff that you've brought to the community, the way you've served and cared for it, I hear those stories. Just hats off to you, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much.
All right. Cheers, everyone.